Welcome back. This is going to be part 3, the last of the videos, and it's for the date of the 18th for Kcpc. This is review, and we're going to start with a listening exercise, and I hope you enjoy it. I think we enjoyed it all when we were listening to it in class. Okay, so it is page 27.
Page 116, Exercise 2.
All things are connected. Long ago, there was a village chief who never allowed anyone to disagree with him. Whenever he wanted to do something, he asked the members of his court for their advice. But whether the chief's idea was wise or foolish, his advisers always said the same thing. Indeed, it is wise. Only one old woman dared to give a different answer. Whenever the chief asked for her advice, she always replied, "All things are connected." One night, the chief was awakened by the sound of frogs croaking in the swamp. It happened again the next night, and the next, and the next. The chief decided to kill all the frogs in the swamp. When he consulted the members of his court, they replied, as usual, "Indeed, it is wise." But the old woman kept silent. "And you, old woman, what do you think?" the chief demanded. "All things are connected," she replied. The chief concluded that the old woman was a fool, and he ordered his servants to kill all the frogs. Therefore, the chief slept peacefully. But soon the mosquitoes in the swamp began to multiply, since there were no frogs to eat them. They came into the village and made everyone miserable. The chief ordered his servants to go into the swamp and kill the mosquitoes, but it was impossible. Furious, the chief summoned the members of his court and blamed them, saying, "Why didn't you tell me that killing the frogs would make the mosquitoes multiply and everyone would be miserable? I should have listened to the old woman." Because the mosquitoes were there, all the people of the village were forced to go away. Finally, the chief and his family left too. Until he died, the chief never forgot the old woman's words. All things are connected.
Okay, so all things are connected. How many people understood everything? And how many people had a little trouble with some of the things? Let's play it one more time and read. This is page 116.
Page 116, Exercise 2.
All things are connected. Long ago, there was a village chief who never allowed anyone to disagree with him. Whenever he wanted to do something, he asked the members of his court for their advice. But whether the chief's idea was wise or foolish, his advisers always said the same thing. Indeed, it is wise. Only one old woman dared to give a different answer. Whenever the chief asked for her advice, she always replied, "All things are connected." One night, the chief was awakened by the sound of frogs croaking in the swamp. It happened again the next night, and the next, and the next. The chief decided to kill all the frogs in the swamp. When he consulted the members of his court, they replied, as usual, "Indeed, it is wise." But the old woman kept silent. "And you, old woman, what do you think?" the chief demanded. "All things are connected," she replied. The chief concluded that the old woman was a fool, ordered his servants to kill all the frogs. Therefore, the chief slept peacefully. But soon the mosquitoes in the swamp began to multiply, since there were no frogs to eat them. They came into the village and made everyone miserable. The chief ordered his servants to go into the swamp and kill the mosquitoes, but it was impossible. Furious, the chief summoned the members of his court and blamed them, saying, "Why didn't you tell me that killing the frogs would make the mosquitoes multiply and everyone would be miserable? I should have listened to the old woman." Because the mosquitoes were there, all the people of the village were forced to go away. Finally, the chief and his family left too. Until he died, the chief never forgot the old woman's words. All things are connected.
Well, the other vocabulary word that I wanted to mention here was the word fable. F-A-B-L-E. And a fable is not just any story, it's a special kind of story. Does anyone know what makes a fable different from a regular story? It teaches a lesson, right? It teaches a lesson, and usually that lesson is in the last words of the fable. And here it is, all things are connected. Okay, so let's move on to reading in the college and career readiness, and it is going to be page 148. Reading tip. Read the proverb. What do you think it means? Can you guess how it is connected to the picture? So the proverb here is, give a man a fish and you have fed him for today. Teach a man to fish and you have fed him for a lifetime. So what does that mean? That's right. So if you give someone something and it's a gift, you have not taught them how to do anything. But if you teach the person how to produce and create whatever it was that you gave to them, then they can continue to repeat that particular gift and that particular action over and over again and sustain themselves and not depend upon anyone else. They only have to depend upon themselves to keep themselves alive and well. Okay, so here we are. The title is Heifer International. Anyone know what a heifer is? Let's see if we can find out. A well-known Chinese and English proverb says, give a man a fish and you have fed him for today. Teach a man to fish and you have fed him for a lifetime. This proverb or statement that gives advice represents the beliefs of Heifer International, an organization that gives gifts of live animals to poor families all over the world. Heifer International was started by an American farmer named Dan West. West was a volunteer relief worker in Spain during its Civil War from 1936 to 1939. What is a Civil War? A civil war is a war where a country does not fight another country, but it fights among itself. Good. His job was to decide who would receive the small amount of food aid offered to them. Because there was not enough food, many people died. West realized that it was good to give people food, but it was more important to help them find a way to produce or create their own food. With this simple idea, West founded Heifer International as soon as he returned to America. The first group of heifers, young female cows, was shipped to Puerto Rico in 1944. So, what does this sentence show? It shows what the word heifer means by using dashes. And what is a heifer? A young female cow. Notice that he sent female cows. Families used the animals to produce milk, fertilizer, food for plants, and calves, which are baby cows. So there are three reasons why he chose the female cow. Number one, it produced milk. Number two, the dung from the cow was used as food for plants or fertilizers. What's another name for this particular kind of fertilizer? Manure. And if you go to a plant or a nursery or a big box like Lowe's or Home Depot into the garden section, you can actually buy bags of manure. And the third reason was calves, which are baby cows, so that you can create more income and more food, more milk, more manure, and more cows. Also, each family agreed to give its heifer's first female calf to another family. So that means they could keep the rest and build up their own herd, but that they would have to give away the first calf that was born into the family. West called this passing on the gift. In this way, an entire community would benefit from the gift of one heifer. Brilliant. Today, Heifer International gives gifts of heifers, sheep, goats, and many other animals. So obviously it is not confined to cows anymore, but to many other animals. Why do you suppose that would be? Because maybe certain countries use other animals in other ways rather than a cow. Next, since 1944, it has helped more than 8 million people in 125 countries. The story of Christine Makahumuri from Rwanda is typical. After her husband died in a war, Christine had no way to support her parents and young daughter. She applied to Heifer International and received a cow. She used some of the milk to feed her family and sold the rest. With the money she made by selling milk, she was able to buy a small house for her parents. To meet her commitment of passing it on, she gave her cow's first calf to a neighbor as a gift. She also adopted and took care of 4 orphans, local children whose parents had died. According to the Heifer International website, Christine is living proof of the life-changing difference an animal from heifer can make to the people of a community. So rather than just giving the gift of money, they gave a gift of something useful, which would be able to expand their world, expand for future years to come. Number 1, page 149. Check your understanding. Look at the reading tip again. Restate the proverb in your own words. So 2 words came to mind while I was thinking about this, and they are short-term and long-term. So the solution is not a short-term solution. It is a long-term solution in order to help families for their entire future rather than just one day or one small little period of time. Number 2, explain the saying, passing on the gift in your own words. Since someone helped me, I'm going to help someone else. Someone gave me a gift, I'm going to give someone else a gift. What gave Dan West the idea to start Heifer International? He realized that a small amount of food was only going to last for a short amount of time. And because of that, people died. And it was more important to find a way to help people to create their own food rather than relying on food for one time from one particular place. Number 4, how did Christine survive after her husband died in the war? She used some of the milk to feed her family and sold the rest. With the money she made by selling the milk, she was able to buy a small house for her parents. Number 5, how does Christine's story illustrate the way Heifer International can change the lives of more than one person in a community? It's a very short answer, isn't there? Pass it on. Yes, pass it on. Okay, so build your vocabulary. The word is proverb. The signal was a period, was a comma, and a proverb is a statement that gives advice. The next one is Heifer International. What is Heifer International? Yes, it is an organization that gives people animals, live animals, and it has expanded from heifer to include what other animals? Sheep and goats and other animals. Heifer. What is a heifer? It is a young female cow. Fertilizer. What is fertilizer? Yes, it is food for plants. And in this case, what kind of fertilizer is it? It was manure. Calves. What is a calf? A baby cow. What are orphans? Children whose parents have died. Let's go to the vocabulary. Aid. What part of speech? Noun and or verb. And what does aid mean? Help or assistance. The next, civil. Civil within a country. The next, commitment. It's a noun and it means a promise. The next, community. It's a noun and what does it mean? It is a group of people who live in a place who have something in common. The next one is founded. What is it? It's a verb. What does founded by? Established or originated with. In this case, it was founded by, the organization was founded by Dan West, who started the organization, which is named what? Heifer International. Okay. So down in the lower right-hand corner, we have our last little gray box. It says useful language, phrases to cite evidence. According to the author states that. Okay, that is it. I hope to see you soon.